Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your fashion teacher IJ, and here is IJ Designs. On today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to make a bubu kaftan. It is a free gown that can fit anyone. So today we are going to use this Ankara material to design the baby lace that we are using. This is the main material, the baby lace. We are going to use it to make the bubu, and this is the lining of it. So after making the bubu, we will now use this Ankara material. As you can see right behind me, the style that we are going to make, it is there on your screen. That is the style we are going to make. We are going to use these designs, all these designs, to place on the front part of the bubu after we have finished making it. So without wasting much of your time, let's get started. But before then, thank you to my subscribers, both old and new subscribers that loves coming back to my channel to see what I have for you. I'm so grateful to you guys. Thank you very much. And for those of you who watches my video but don't like to subscribe, please kindly subscribe. Just hit on that red button and put on the notification bell that whenever I upload, you will be the first to be notified. Support me, please. I'm pleading, support me by subscribing. Thank you very much, and let's get started. First of all, we are going to fold our material. I'm not going to fold it from the length. I'm going to fold it the width. And remember, this bubu we are making is the bubu that is closed on the two sides. So the sewing will be on the right side of the material. So we are going to do all our drafting on the right side of the material. And this is the right side of the material. So now I'm going to fold it in this form. I'm going to fold it by first taking the length of the bubu we are making. Remember, this is the right side of our material because we are going to sew on the right side of the material. By the two sides, we are going to sew it up. So I'm using this marker so please watch carefully to see what I'm doing. So from this shoulder to here is the armhole. That is the chest line. From the chest line, we now get to the bust point. The bust point we are using is 13. This is the bust point. 13 is the bust point. Then from the 13, we get to the under bust, which is 16.5. From the under bust, we now get to the hip, which is 27. The hip is 27. It's here, 27. Then from the hip, we now get to the length of our material, which is 60 inches plus 2 seam allowance to fold it. That is 62. That is the end of it here. So now, we are going to make it into a straight line. This is 8.5. This is the 13 bust point, under bust 16.5. Then the waist, we also need our waist. Our waist is 19. This is 19, our waist, and our hip is 27. Also the waist is 19, here is 19. Now I'm going to make it into a straight line. Now I've made it into a straight line. Now let us insert our horizontal measurements. The bust measurement we are using is 50. 50 divided by 4 is going to give us 12.5. 12.5. So on this my chest line, I'll mark 12.5. Here is my 12.5 because this cloth is a little bit elastic. I'm going to add only 1 inch seam allowance. I'm going to add 1 inch seam allowance at the bust point. Now I've inserted the bust measurements, which is 12.5. I've inserted it here plus 1 seam allowance. Plus 1 seam allowance, that is 13.5. That is here. So the next thing now is to insert our waist measurement. The waist measurement we are working with is 44. 44 divided by 4 is 11. 11 is here, plus 1 seam allowance, because it's going to be a little bit fitted. This bubu is always fitted. If you want, you can add 2 inches seam allowance, but because of the material, so that it doesn't look too much loose, I'm adding 1 inch allowance. So here is my 11, then I add 1 inch, that is 12, and here is my 12. Here is my 12. So now I'm going to come to my hip. My hip is 57. 57 divided by 4 is going to give me 14.25. So I'll make it 14.5. This is the 14.5 plus 1 seam allowance. This is 15.5. Then I mark it. So now here is my 14.5, which is the hip plus 1 seam allowance, that is 15.5. I'm going to also insert it here at the down part of it, but before then, I'm going to measure 15 inches, 15 inches, so that the person can walk freely. When you close it totally, the person cannot walk freely. So I'm going to measure up to 20 inches. No, 15 inches. Let me measure 15 inches. That is the opening I'm going to leave. Plus the 2 seam allowance, that is going to be 17 inches. So I'm going to come up to 17 inches here. This is where I'm going to place the 15.5. That is at the hip. At this point, I've placed the 15.5 here. So now we are going to connect it. Remember, I came up from the hem of it with 17 inches, 2 inches allowance plus 15 inches where my sewing is going to stop. I'm not going to sew it to the end, because when you do that, the person can walk freely. So you stop at a point. You can choose 20 inches, 15 inches is your choice, but I choose 15 inches. So here is where I'm going to stop. At this 15 inches, I brought down the measurement of the hip, which is 15.5, to the 15 inches I came up with, and that is here. And now let's connect our material. From here, I connect it to the waist. Then I turn my ruler to connect it to the hip. Then from this hip, I connect it to where the opening is going to stop, which is here. Because the person is a bit curvy, that is why I use this down to the length. If the person is not curvy, you can use your straight ruler. So now, do you see it? Do you see it from here? So while sewing, this is the bust point, this is the chest line, this is the bust point. I'm going to start closing it up from the under bust, that is here. This is here where my sewing is going to be, from the under bust. I'm not going to start closing it from the bust point, but from the under bust is where I'm going to start sewing down to the length of our closing. That is here. So now this same thing I did here, I'm going to turn this cloth the other way round and also do it on this side. Then after that, we will start sewing it up. But before then, let us go to our neck. Because it's going to be a round neck, I'm going to use here the wide of it. I'm going to use 3 inches. Then I'll come down by 3.5, so that when you take it, I come down by 4 inches. 3.5, 3 inches wide and 4 inches the length. That is the dip, 4 inches. So now let us connect it. Now I have connected our neckline. Do you see it? Do you see the neckline that we are going to remove out? So this is the neckline that we have just measured out, 3 inches, then we came down 4 inches. But on these 4 inches, I'm going to start with 3 by 3.5, so that when you now sew it, you now take the extra ½ inch in. So now it's time to cut our neckline. What we are going to cut is only the neckline, no other cutting on this project. Only the neckline we are going to cut out. And after which I will turn the other way around and draft also the same measurements, and then we will start sewing it up. The neckline, the front and the back is the same. The front and back, that's our neckline. Now we have cut out our neckline. Do you see it? So now I'm going to turn the other way around. I'm going to turn the other way around. I will also do this measurement. Then after which I will now close it up. Just from this measurement you are seeing, this line that we mark from the bust point, from the under bust. Here is the under bust. From the under bust, I'll start sewing it up. I'll start sewing it up. I'll close it. Then after closing, now guys, as I said, I have also drafted the same measurement on the outer side of the kaftan. Can you see it? This is the chest line, and here is the under bust, waistline, waistline, hip line, and the length of where we are going to stop while sewing. So I have also drafted it on the other side. So now the next thing to do, and I have also hold it fast with pin so that it can be easy to sew with your machine. So can you see it? So the same line have been, the same measurement have been also inserted on the other side of the cloth we are making. So now what I will do is carefully take it to my machine and use the same matching thread. Always use the matching thread to close it up, starting from the under bust down to the length where we want it to stop. If you want, you can also start from your bust point, but starting on the bust point sometimes make it to be a little bit tight on the bust. So that is why I prefer under bust or a little above under bust, that you start closing it up to your desired length. Now I'm going to do it so. Also use bias to hem the neckline, and also on the down part of it to hem it also. After that, I'll show it to you guys. Now guys, our bubu kaftan is now ready. Do you see it? I've hemmed the neckline with bias and also close up the sides. Do you see it now? It's now close up. Do you see it? I've closed up the sides. So this is the armhole. Now here is the armhole, and also this side is the armhole. Do you see it? So now we have finished with closing it up. So the next thing now, remember, we are going to design the front part of it. The front part of it with this Ankara fabric. We are going to design it with all these flowers on the Ankara fabric. We are going to use it to design this front part of it. And now I have cut out some pieces of it. Can you see it? I have trimmed out some pieces of it, which we are going to use to design it. So the next thing to do is to spray it on a wide surface, maybe on the ground or on your table, if your table is large enough to contain it, and check the middle part of it, and now start to fix your flowers. You fix it in this form, you place it the material on a flat surface and placed all the flowers on it. So now the next thing is to gum it with the special gum and also finish it up with the beads. Then I'll show it to you guys. Guys, our bubu is ready. Do you see it? I have attached the patches. I have gummed it with the special gum and also used beads. Can you see it? To also beautify it. So now the bubu is ready. The next thing now is our bonnet. I've cut it out. I used 13 inches to cut it out. 13.5 inches. Half inch is to put it to the band. So I've made a well-detailed video on how to make a bonnet. So you can check it out and know how to make this bonnet. In the bonnet, sorry, I will not show you how I make the bonnet here, but I've made the bonnet already. So that's the bonnet. It's double-faced bonnet. That is 2-in-1. You can decide to wear it with this side of it, and off you can decide to wear it with the main Ankara material that we use to decorate the bubu. So look at it. That's the bonnet. Do you see how beautiful it is? It's bonnet without elastic but band. I use band, a long strip, 90 inches band to make this bonnet, and it's 13.5 inches is the wideness of the bonnet. Also, our inside of it, the simi, that is the way it is called in Nigerian language, the simi, to wear the bubu. Also, I've made it. So now I will link the video on how to make a bonnet, how I made this bonnet. I'll link the video to this video so that if you want to make your bonnet, you can check out the video. I explained details on how to make it. It's very easy. Just watch the video. You will also make your own bonnet. So now I'm going to put on this bubu on our mannequin, and we'll see how it looks. Also, I'm going to use the two sides of the bonnet to put it on so that we'll see how it looks. Now guys, you can see this is the bubu we have just made with the bonnet cap. Can you see how beautiful it looks? Can you see it? Do you see how beautiful our bubu and the bonnet cap looks? So now let's check out the other side of it. Now this is the other side of the bonnet. You can also rock it in this form. Do you see how beautiful it looks? Do you see it? Our 2-in-1 bonnet. Do you see how it looks? Guys, if this tutorial on how to make a bubu kaftan with bonnet, a double-sided bonnet, has been helpful to you, please don't forget to like my video, comment, and also share with your friends and family, and don't forget to give me a giant thumbs up. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. I believe you can learn 1 or 2 things by stopping at my channel. So I love you guys, and I'll continue to be sharing my knowledge with you. See you in my next video. Bye bye.